The Netflix sensation captivated audiences worldwide with its brutal depiction of survival games. Director Hwang Dong-hyuk, drawing inspiration from his own financial struggles and childhood memories, created a fictional world that chillingly reflects a darker reality in South Korea's past. While not directly based on any one event, the series shares unsettling similarities with the horrors endured at the Brothers' Home, a facility that operated more like a concentration camp during the 1980s. Hwang Dong-hyuk, the creative mind behind, has spoken about the show's exploration of economic disparity and the lengths people will go to for survival. He envisioned a world where desperation drives individuals to compete in deadly games for a chance to escape poverty. This fictional premise, while extreme, finds an unsettling parallel in the real-life horrors experienced by thousands at the Brothers' Home. The Brothers' Home, one of many welfare centers established in the lead-up to the 1988 Seoul Olympics, was part of a government initiative to clean up the streets and present a prosperous image to the world. However, these centers, often privately owned and poorly regulated, devolved into places of exploitation and abuse. The Brothers' Home, in particular, became a nightmare for those unfortunate enough to end up within its walls. Operated by Park In-kyun and his brother-in-law, Lim Young-soon, the Brothers' Home was a place where profit trumped human life. The facility housed a diverse group of individuals deemed undesirable by the authorities: orphans, the homeless, the disabled, and even those simply accused of vagrancy. These vulnerable people, often rounded up by police incentivized to meet quotas, were stripped of their identities, assigned numbers, and subjected to a brutal regime of forced labor. The conditions within the Brothers' Home were deplorable. Survivors recount being crammed into overcrowded spaces, deprived of adequate food and sanitation. Disease was rampant, and medical care was practically non-existent. Those who couldn't work were often left to die, their bodies disposed of without a trace. The facility, meant to provide shelter and care, became a living hell for its inhabitants. The true horror of the Brothers' Home lay not just in the inhumane living conditions, but also in the systematic abuse inflicted upon its inmates. Forced labor was the norm, with detainees made to work long hours producing goods for profit. Beatings were commonplace, used to punish even the slightest infraction. Survivors also allege widespread sexual abuse, with young women and children particularly vulnerable. The Brothers' Home operated on a hierarchical system that eerily mirrors the power dynamics in. Certain inmates, often those who had proven their loyalty through violence, were given positions of authority. These individuals, acting as guards, were tasked with maintaining order and enforcing the rules, often resorting to brutal methods to assert their dominance. This system of control, where the oppressed become the oppressors, is a chilling reminder of the ways in which power corrupts. Just as in where contestants compete in deadly games, survivors of the Brothers' Home recall being forced to participate in activities that often had violent consequences. These games, designed to entertain the guards or settle disputes, were far from harmless. Refusal to participate or failure to perform well could result in severe beatings or even death. The parallels between and the Brothers' Home serve as a stark reminder that the pursuit of wealth and power can come at a devastating human cost. The show's exploration of economic disparity, desperation, and the lengths people will go to survive resonates deeply with the real-life experiences of those who endured the horrors of this institution. The Brothers' Home, though closed in 1988, left an indelible scar on South Korea's conscience. While the facility's closure brought an end to the immediate suffering, justice proved elusive for many victims. Park In-kyun, the man responsible for overseeing this chamber of horrors, served a mere 2 years in prison on minor charges, a paltry punishment for the atrocities committed under his watch. The lack of accountability and the enduring trauma suffered by survivors serve as a stark reminder of the need for truth, reconciliation, and systemic change. While a work of fiction forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about our world, it highlights the ways in which economic inequality can create conditions ripe for exploitation and abuse. The show's popularity, while entertaining, also serves as a reminder to remain vigilant against injustice and to fight for a more equitable society where such horrors are relegated to the history books. Remember to subscribe.